Ruth sat on a small wooden stool staring at the dusty ground of her father's hut. She became just 21, but life had already beaten her down. Her dress changed into torn at the sleeve, her toes had been bare, and her belly growled from hunger. She had best eaten a cup of Gary the whole day. Her father, Mr. Paul, paced outside like a stressed goat. His debts within the village have been too many. He owed the palm wine dealer, the yam dealer, and even the chief's son. And now he had a plan to save himself by promoting Ruth. That nighttime he known as her out. "You are becoming married the following day," he said without searching her inside the eyes. Ruth's coronary heart dropped. "To who?" she requested. "To a person who can assist this own family." Ruth's eyes packed with tears. "However, Papa, I am now not equipped. I don't even realize him." Paul raised his hand. "In case you refuse. Don't come back into this residence. You'll sleep outside like a stray dog that night time." Ruth cried herself to sleep. The next day there was no track, no party, no cake. Ruth wore an old gown that failed to match properly, and her hair changed into covered with a headscarf. The villagers whispered and laughed. As she was acceded over to, a man they called Daniel appeared, quiet. His clothes were faded, his slippers wiped out, and his residence become a ways at the threshold of the village. Nobody knew lots about him, except that he had no buddies, no own family, and labored as a nearby chippy. "Welcome," he stated lightly as she stepped into his small house. "You may take the mattress, I will sleep at the ground." Ruth became bowled over. She had anticipated to be treated like a slave, but Daniel handled her with kindness. He gave her meals, fetched water for her, and never raised his voice. 1 week after their quiet wedding, Daniel sat outdoor their small residence searching at the sky as the sun slowly disappeared behind the hills. Ruth became interior, sweeping the ground, and humming a gentle track. She had slowly become extra at ease around him. She not sat in silence or stared on the wall all day. She now smiled a touch and even laughed sometimes. "Ruth," Daniel known as softly, she came outside, wiping her fingers on her wrapper. "Yes, I've been wondering. It is time we passed to the metropolis." Ruth checked out him with Marveltown. "Yes," he nodded. "I've stored a few money. We will rent a small condo and begin life there. I'll maintain my carpentry paintings." Ruth didn't answer. At once she sat at the timber bench beside him and checked out the ground. "Daniel, are you certain?" she requested. "You simplest. Recognize how to make nearby chairs and tables. You do not know the new designs people in the town might not buy from you." Daniel smiled. "I realize, however. Don't worry, if nobody patronizes me, I'm able to look for another activity. I can work in a workshop, bring wood, or even force." "I am no longer terrified of starting small," Ruth sighed. "I am simply scared. The town is not just like the village, I know, but we cannot live here forever. This vicinity isn't always properly for our future," Daniel stated. "Even if we start from one room, at the least we will be transferring forward." Ruth regarded into his eyes. There was no satisfaction in his voice, simply hope. He wasn't forcing her, he became asking her to join him in his dream. "Kay," she subsequently said, "let's cross. I'm geared up." Daniel smiled. "Thank you, Ruth." The following morning, they packed their small luggage. Ruth had simplest 3 dresses, and Daniel had trousers and a toolbox. They boarded an old bus from the village to the town. The adventure was long and dusty. The street turned into bad at one factor. The bus stopped because the engine overheated, and every person needed to come down. When they in the end arrived in the metropolis, with the aid of night, the noise greatly surprised Ruth. The streets were full of human beings, motors honking, sellers shouting, and smoke growing from roadside food stalls. "Daniel, this place is simply too busy," Ruth whispered, preserving his hand tightly. He laughed. "You will get used to it." They entered a small kek that took them to a quiet street. Daniel had already paid for a one-room condominium earlier after them. Got there, the landlord gave them the key. The room turned into small, 1 mattress, a fan, and a window. However, it became clean. Ruth sat at the bed and smiled. "It is small, however. It's our very own." The next morning, Daniel dressed up and went to look for carpentry work. Ruth stayed at the back of Daniel and cleaned the room. She organized the few plates that they had, spread the wrapper well on the mattress, and boiled rice with the little kerosene they'd. Daniel came again inside the nighttime looking tired. "How become it?" Ruth requested. "Difficult," he said. I went to 4 workshops. One said they have no area, the alternative 3 stated them most effective paintings with folks who recognize contemporary furniture design. I informed you, Ruth whispered. City people like brilliant chairs and Italian beds. They don't want our village stools. Daniel nodded, but one workshop said they might want someone to carry wooden and sandpaper. I informed them I'm geared up. Ruth looked at him, her eyes tender. Thanks for not giving up, Daniel smiled. For you, I might not surrender. The next few days were difficult. Daniel could exit early and go back late with small cash. Ruth started out, making small chinch and buns to promote in the front of their compound. At the beginning, most effective children came to shop for. Then, neighbors began tasting it. One female came and said, "My sister, your chin-chin is good." "Oh, you need to make more." So Ruth made extra. Soon people came from nearby streets to shop, for one woman even requested her to deliver for a small birthday party. Daniel observed and stated, "Your fingers are blessed." Ruth laughed. "As a minimum 1. Character on this house has skills." Daniel touched her shoulder. "Do not say that." "Believe my time will come." One Saturday morning, Daniel's smartphone rang. He nearly ignored it, due to the fact the wide variety turned into unknown, but something advised him to reply. "Hello?" he stated. "Is that this Mr. Daniel Kingsley?" A deep voice asked. Daniel's heart skipped. "Sure, this is Mr. Johnson from Grand Royal Furnishings. We got your software. Are you are available for an interview on Monday morning?" Daniel become burdened. "Sorry, which application?" The man chuckled. "A lady dropped your name and pattern works at our workplace 2 weeks in the past." Daniel grew to become and checked out Ruth, who turned into pretending to sweep the nook of the room. After the call, he walked to her. "Ruth, did you send my photos and information to employer?" She dropped the broom. I saw a number of your sketches and idea they were desirable, so I took them to a furniture employer. I failed to tell you because I did not need to raise your desire." Daniel turned into speechless. "You believe in me that lots?" Ruth nodded. "Extra than you agree within yourself." He pulled her right into a tight hug. "You aren't simply my spouse," he whispered. "You're my helper." Monday morning got here like a clean breeze. Daniel dressed neatly in his cleanest blouse and trousers. Ruth helped him brush his collar and packed his small bag with a bottle of water and ground nut. He looked fearful, but she held his hand. "You will do well," she said. Daniel smiled. "Pray for me." "I already did," she replied, kissing his brow. After he left, Ruth sat quietly within the room. She wasn't inside the mood to exit or do something. She sat near the window, looking humans pass by, considering her new lifestyles in the metropolis. That was when she heard a knock at the door. "Who's it?" she requested. "It is me, Luciana," a noisy voice replied. Ruth stood up slowly and opened the door. Luciana walked in, sporting tight denims, long eyelashes, red lipstick and excessive heels. She chewed her gum loudly and seemed across the small room like she had entered a foul. "Coupé, so this is in which you live?" Luciana asked, elevating her eyebrows. "Yes," Ruth stated lightly. Luciana laughed. "Wow, I nevertheless can't agree with it, Ruth. The village beauty queen now married to that poor chippy called Daniel. You are sitting interior this small room looking like a prisoner. I swear you bowled over me, Ruth." Checked out her Luciana. "Is this what you came to speak?" Approximately Luciana located, her hand on her hip. "My pricey, you are too stunning for this sort of existence. You have to be in a pleasing office with AC blowing your hair now, not sitting here like one village spouse." Ruth folded her hands. Luciana leaned in closer. "Tell me the reality, is it because of the manner Daniel telches you in mattress? Maybe he is too excellent in that region, and you do not want to let go. Are you mad?" Ruth asked, growing to her feet. Luciana raised her fingers playfully. "Relax now. I'm simply pronouncing the reality. You are suffering for not anything. I realize a person, good-looking, wealthy, drives a black Jeep, unmarried. He can take away you from this poverty." Ruth's face changed. "You got here to my house to insult my husband and offer me some other man like I'm a few misplaced dogs searching out meals." Luciana blinked. "I'm simply helping close your mouth," Ruth shouted. "You need to assist me. Help yourself first. Look at you, leaping from guy to guy. You are single and sour. It's why you want me to throw away my domestic and emerge as such as you never. Luciana's face grew to become pink. Are you calling me sour? Ruth pointed on the door. Get out of my residence. Luciana, don't ever come right here. Once more, avoid me, please, you evil female. Because you are on my own, you need to smash. What I can in no way leave my marriage, not for you now, not for your wealthy boyfriend, no longer, for each person, Luciana hissed, and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Ruth stood in the middle of the room, shaking with anger. She sat down and whispered to herself, peace is higher than riches without recognize. I did not marry Daniel for cash. I married him due to the fact he gave me peace. By way of evening, the sun had long gone down and the wind outdoor turned into cool. Ruth sat quietly within the room, her arms resting on her lap, her mind stored, going again to the whole thing. Luciana had stated the insults, the mockery, the wicked recommendation. She heard Daniel's footsteps outdoor, a soft knock, observed. She stood up and opened the door. He stepped in, searching, tired but smiling. I am again. Welcome, Ruth stated, assisting him take away his bag. He sat down on the mattress and stretched. These days went well. They asked me to come again the following day. The supervisor said he likes my work. Ruth smiled faintly, but her coronary heart was heavy. Daniel noticed what's incorrect. She sat beside him and sighed deeply. Something passed off when you left this morning. Daniel turned to her. What is it? She instructed him. The whole thing. How Luciana came, what she said, approximately him being bad and unpleasant, how she laughed at their small room, and the way she advised Ruth leave him for a wealthy guy. When Ruth cited the part wherein Luciana said, perhaps Daniel changed into handiest, excellent in mattress. His face modified. Daniel clenched his fists. She stated that? Ruth nodded slowly. She insulted you, insulted me, and attempted to scatter our home. Daniel shook his head, hurt but calm. That female is foolish, he said. She would not recognize you. She doesn't recognize the kind of female you are. You aren't like her. She sleeps with exceptional guys on this community. Some married a few young boys. She has no shame. Ruth listened, quietly. She sees your beauty and thinks you are like her. Daniel introduced, however you're different. You are a treasure, Ruth. Tears accrued in Ruth's eyes. Daniel held her hand. Please, my beautiful spouse, promise me something. What? She asked. Do not ever speak to her once more. Live, far away from that evil girl. She is not your buddy. She would not wish you properly. I don't want her spoiling your coronary heart with her useless phrases. Ruth nodded. I promise, Daniel. Checked out his eyes, complete of emotion. Thanks, Ruth. She wiped her tears. For what? For loving me? For selecting me, now not being deceived with the aid of human beings like Luciana, I understand. I do not have a lot, I recognize. I am now not rich or well known, but you spot me, you agree with in me that on my own offers me strength. Ruth positioned her head on his shoulder. I failed to marry your pocket, Daniel. I married your coronary heart. He held her close. And for a long second they sat in silence. No noise, no hassle, simply people keeping every different, more potent than the hurricane that attempted to shake them every week had passed. Given that Ruth chased Luciana out in their home, matters had come to be greater nonviolent once more. Daniel woke early every day, went to work, and again, with tales of wish, Ruth would take a seat and pay attention, with smiles on her face and pleasure in her heart. Daniel's task at the fixtures organization turned into going well. He had inspired each person together with his creativity and neat carpentry paintings. His boss, Mr. Benson, became a wealthy and powerful man. Although he became strict, he appreciated Daniel because of his humility and discipline. One sunny afternoon, after Daniel finished fixing a lovely timber desk, Mr. Benson called him into the workplace. Daniel, come and sit down, he stated, waving his hand. Daniel sat quietly. You already know. Because you got here, I have heard not anything, however exact reviews about you, Mr. Benson said. Your work is splendid. You come early, you respect everybody. I really like that. Thank you, sir, Daniel spoke back, humbly. However, there may be something else that means to mention, Mr. Benson continued. You talk approximately your spouse a lot. On every occasion, someone asks why you work so difficult. You assert, My spouse merits better. Whilst we talk about peace, you assert my spouse gives me peace. While we talk approximately advantages, you say my spouse is my biggest blessing. Daniel smiled. Shyly Benson leaned ahead. Now I want to satisfy this unique female. You've made her sound like an angel? Daniel's eyes widened. You need to fulfill her, yes. Mr. Benson nodded. In reality, I'd even find something for her to do in one in every of my groups. Daniel's eyes dropped. Sir, she has no certificate, she did not finish faculty, she has no workplace revel, and Mr. Benson waved his hand. It would not matter. We'll teach her from time to time. A very good heart is better than a certificate. Simply tell her to come. I want to fulfill the female at the back of the person. Daniel stood up, his heart beating rapid. Thank you, sir. I will tell her. As Daniel left the office, he couldn't forestall smiling. His steps were lighter, his chest complete of joy. I cannot await him to me, Ruth. He notioned, permit him see the beauty I see every day that night time. Daniel got here domestic from paintings, looking excited. He opened the door with a wide smile and walked immediately to Ruth. Guess what? He said, almost bouncing. Ruth seemed up slowly. What took place? Daniel sat beside her, took her hand and said, My boss desires to meet you. Me? Ruth's eyes widened. Yes, Daniel grinned. He stated, I speak about you all of the time. I informed him how you've stood with the aid of me, how you've supported me, and the way you've given me peace. He desires to meet the girl in the back of my electricity. Ruth at once shook her head. No, Daniel, please, I cannot cross what going to I says. I do not belong in that kind of workplace. What? If I embarrass you? Daniel held her hand tighter. You won't embarrass me, Ruth. In fact, he stated, he might even come up with work in certainly one of his businesses. What? Ruth appeared completely bowled over. Yes, Daniel nodded. He stated, you do not need experience or a certificates. He's going to educate you, if wanted. Ruth pulled her hand away and stood up. I do not assume I can do it. I've by no means entered a company before. I don't know how to speak like town women. What if I sit down wrongly or say something wrong? Daniel stood too and walked up to her. Pay attention to me, Ruth. You've got what many people with ranges don't have. Admirable humility, expertise, and a very good heart. It's what my boss noticed via me. That's what he wants to see in you. Ruth grew to become her face away, nevertheless. Unsure, however. My dress is old. I do not even have footwear that fit. What's going to I wear? Daniel positioned his fingers lightly on her shoulders. You do not want pricey clothes to show who you are. Your beauty already speaks, your heart shines through, your smile simply pass there. Be yourself, and permit him meet the girl I communicate about every day. Ruth changed into quiet. For some time she appeared into Daniel's eyes and noticed the reality. He believed in her even more than she believed in herself. She sighed deeply. You sure? I might not shame you. Daniel smiled. If all of us will be proud, it is me. You're my crown, Ruth. You are the one who helped me upward thrust. Let the arena meet the purpose I'm standing nowadays. Ruth nodded slowly, nonetheless apprehensive, however. Something in her coronary heart felt warm. Tomorrow, Ruth got equipped slowly. She became nonetheless anxious, but Daniel had satisfied her. The night time before, he had instructed her over and over once more, do not be scared, just cross and meet him. He best wishes to talk and spot you. He is a terrific guy. So she wore her quality robe, packed her hair well, and left the house. The business enterprise turned into large glass, constructing smooth compound protection men's status, like statues, whilst Ruth entered. Her legs have been shaking. She informed the receptionist her call, and after a short wait she was asked to head upstairs. She knocked lightly on Mr. Benson's workplace door. Come in, he stated. Ruth entered and stood by means of the door, preserving her small bag tightly. Mr. Benson appeared up from his table. Oh, you are Ruth? Sure, sir, she stated politely. He stood up slowly and smiled. Please, sit down. Ruth sat on the threshold of the chair. Anxious, however calm, he checked out her for a few seconds, after which stated, you're truly very pretty. I see why Daniel speaks so incredibly of you. Thanks, sir, Ruth replied with a small nod. He leaned forward on his table. You are a totally fortunate girl. Daniel is a good worker, honest, humble, hardworking. He's considered one of the first-rate I've visible in some time. Ruth smiled a touch. Thank you, sir. He always talks about how plenty he respects you. Mr. Benson chuckled. It truly is nice, but tell me something, Ruth. Do you virtually enjoy residing with a man like Daniel? Ruth raised her forehead. Sir? I mean, you are a younger, excellent lady. Daniel is a woodworker's simple suffering. Examine me now. I am a success. I very own this business enterprise. I have many houses. I journey. I realize large people. Do not you think you deserve extra? Ruth frowned. Sir, I don't apprehend. Mr. Benson stood up slowly and walked to the front of the table, starters near her. What I mean is, if you had been with a person like me, your existence would exchange absolutely. You would not need to live in a one-room condo or wear reasonably padded garments. Examine you. You're beautiful, but you're losing in poverty. Ruth stood up at once. Sir, is that this why you refer to as me here? Mr. Benson raised his hand evenly. Loosen up. I'm just announcing the fact. See? You do not have a task, no certificate, no future plan. I'm able to assist you, but if we work collectively, perhaps something greater can happen. Ruth took one step back. Sir, please, I'm not at ease with what you are saying. Mr. Benson's smile diminished. Why are you pretending you act holy because of Daniel? You think I don't know your story. You're only a terrible village female that your father offered to a person. Don't act like you're a queen. Ruth's voice rose. You're a shame, sir. You told my husband you wanted to help me, but you called me right here to insult me and disrespect my marriage. Shame on you, he hissed. I used to be trying to help you. Ungrateful female. You and your negative carpenter husband will stay in that tiny room for all time, Ruth improved, with hearth in her eyes. I'm poor, sure, I do not have a certificate. However, I have dignity, something your cash cannot buy. You're vintage enough to be my father, but you communicate like a avenue boy. You put on first-class suits, pressure big cars, but your man or woman is dirty. He pointed on the door. Leave my workplace. Ruth laughed boldly. You don't need to inform me twice, but pay attention me properly. Don't you ever communicate about my husband once more. You are not even worthy to smooth his footwear. If I ever see you near my house or listen your call once more, you will understand that peace is not my weak spot. She walked out of his workplace with her head excessive, leaving Mr. Benson's status there fuming like a generator without a gas. Ruth walked domestic speedy, her legs shifting like hearth the solar become hot, but her anger was warmer. Her heart beat loudly in her chest as she replayed every phrase Mr. Benson had said, the insult, the disrespect, the way he checked out her like a toy. She pushed the door open and sat at the bed, breathing closely. So, this is the sort of guy Daniel is working for. She notion, a wealthy animal in human clothes. She had simply picked up her wrapper to trade, whilst her small cell phone started out to ring. Unknown quantity. She frowned and spoke back, good day. A peaceful, deep voice got here from the opposite seas. Ruth, it's me, Mr. Benson. She iced up her eyes, widened. How did you get my wide variety? He chuckled gently. Have you forgotten I'm the boss? I'm able to get whatever I need. Ruth stood up slowly, her anger rising again. What do you want? Simply known as to mention. You need to loosen up, he said slowly. Don't inform your husband approximately what occurred. Nowadays, if you do, I will Artham. I am no longer joking. Ruth's mouth dropped open. What? Sure, Mr. Benson persisted. Daniel wishes this job. If he loses it, what's going to? You people devour. You need to move lower, back to frying buns and soaking Gary every day. Ruth changed into quiet for some seconds, her fingers shaking. Then she asked, so this is your plan? I am giving you time, he stated, like he turned into doing her a want. Think about it. I am now not asking you to like me. I am simply announcing, in case you agree to be with me a small time, I can change your lifestyles. You will wear gold, drive automobiles, tour, just deliver it time. I recognize you are smart. Ruth closed her eyes, pressing her lips together. The room became silent for a while, then she exploded. Shame on you, Mr. Benson. He failed to respond. You're a grown guy, and this is what you use your power for, threatening a poor man's spouse, you observed. I'll worry you because you're wealthy. You do not know me. Loosen up. No, I might not. Calm down, Ruth shouted. You say you're not married, you have got cash, you have got automobiles, yet no lady desires you, have got you sat right down to ask yourself why it is due to the fact you are useless, heartless, and full of delight. Mr. Benson hissed quietly, "Move, and search for your age friends." Ruth endured. "There are numerous vintage lonely girls such as you available. Go and disturb them. Stop chasing younger girls like a hungry goat." "Ruth." "Don't Ruth me," she fired lower back, "and do not ever call this quantity once more. If you try to sack my husband, I swear the whole International will know the sort of man you're—" I'm able to shout. I can publish your name on each wall in this metropolis. I am now not scared of you. With that she ended the call, and threw the telephone at the mattress. Her heart became nonetheless beating, speedy. She was shaking, but now not from fear, from braveness. That got here from knowing she had executed the right aspect. She sat down, looking at the wall. "I don't care what happens next," she whispered, "but I can by no means betray Daniel. By no means." That night, the air internal their small room changed into thick. Ruth sat on the brink of the bed, her thoughts complete of the whole lot that had come about Mr. Benson's. Shameless words nonetheless echoed in her ears like a bad track, but her heart became calm. She had stood her floor. She had protected her marriage. The door creaked open slowly, and Daniel stepped in. He looked worn out but hopeful. "Ruth," he called softly. She appeared up, her eyes severe. Daniel sat beside her. "How did it move?" There was a protracted pause. Ruth took a deep breath and commenced, "Daniel, I want to inform you something, and that I need you to listen cautiously." Daniel frowned. Sitting up immediately, she instructed him. The whole thing, from the instant she stepped into Mr. Benson's workplace, how he praised her, then turned round and insulted each of them. How he later called her and warned her not to tell Daniel, threatening to sack him, and how he promised riches if she agreed to offer herself to him. Daniel's eyes widened, his fists clenched. "That devil," he muttered. "I'll go there day after today and face him. Like a man. He can't insult my wife and move loose." "No, Daniel," Ruth stated, gently retaining his hand. "You not move there, you will not beg him, you will now not combat him. Then what? Do you expect me to do? Hold operating for a man who attempted to spoil our home?" Ruth appeared into his eyes. "Number you will prevent running. There." Daniel blinked. "Forestall running, yes," Ruth stated firmly. "Go away. That place. Don't look forward to him to sack. You quit, along with your head. Excessive, allow him. Maintain his process, his cash, and his dirty man or woman. You're higher than that," Daniel sighed. "But Ruth, what will we can we need money?" She smiled. "We'll promote buns." Daniel stared at her. "Yes?" She nodded. "You consider." "Whilst I was promoting buns earlier than the bodies loved it, some even asked me to supply for parties. We are able to make it larger now. You will help me, I will do the frying. You will package, deal, deliver, and promote it. We will call it Ruth and Daniel's Fresh Buns." Daniel became quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. "So, I'll be your commercial enterprise associate." Ruth laughed. "Exactly. Partner in love, accomplice in hustle." Daniel chuckled, shaking his head. "Me? From chippy to bungler?" She leaned closer. "Sure. And from bad to rich, slowly but virtually, we'll construct something that no man can take from us." Daniel grabbed each her hands. "Ruth, I really like you extra than something, and if that is what you want, if this is what gives us peace, I am equipped. Permit to it." Collectively, she hugged him tightly, her eyes complete of emotion. "We may additionally be negative nowadays. However, we have something rich men do not have. Real love," Daniel whispered. "Day after today morning, we start sparkling. 2 days later, the morning solar become already hot, and the road became busy in front of their small apartment. Daniel becomes sitting close to a neighborhood range, carefully turning golden brown buns inside a huge frying pan. Sweat dripped from his brow, but he failed to care. Ruth had long passed to the market to shop for extra elements, and a person had to preserve the fireplace going. The aroma of the buns filled the street, and customers had already stopped via to shop for a few. "Wow, your buns are sweet," one lady stated. "Thank you," Daniel replied with a proud smile. "Sparkling and smooth, straight from my heart." But as soon as the lady left, problem arrived. Luciana, she got here walking in like a hurricane carrying tight denims and a noisy yellow shirt. Her makeup become an excessive amount of, and her chewing gum was louder than her footsteps. She stopped in the front of Daniel, folded her hands and hissed long and difficult. So it's actual, she said loudly. Daniel the chippy has now end up Daniel the bun supplier. Daniel did not appearance up, he persisted, turning the buns. Cautiously, Luciana scoffed. Where is your queen, Madame Ruth the buns princess, or has she left you already for a person richer? Daniel subsequently looked at her. What do you want? Luciana smiled. We heard the entirety. Your boss tried to help. Ruth, and you opened that your big furry mouth to stop her. You're very silly, Daniel, very foolish at the least. Mr. Benson might have paid you off. You may use the cash to begin something huge, however you have a look at you, frying chin-chin and buns at the roadside like one deserted guy. Daniel raised his eyebrow. Are you? Finished Luciana, laughed loud, sufficient for humans across the street to pay attention. You're a disgrace. See the type of paintings you're doing. No wonder you were dumped with the aid of development. You're bad, you're vain, and now your spouse is wasting her beauty on someone like you. Daniel wiped his palms with a fabric. He appeared Luciana in the eye and spoke lightly, however firmly. You've got a very loud mouth for a person with an empty heart. Luciano frowned. What did you say? I said, you're an unfastened dog. Danielle endured. You've slept with 1/2 the guys in this location. Married men, drivers, safety guards, even jobless boys that still acquire money from their mothers. You stroll around, along with your reasonably pressed wig and purple lipstick, thinking you are better than those who work hard. Luciana gasped. How dare you? No, how dare you? Daniel shouted. How dare you return to my shop and insult me, even as I'm working to construct something with my wife, at the least. I'm now not begging guys for airtime. I'm not coming into vehicles at night time simply to buy fake iPhones. Human beings had started looking from nearby stores. Luciana, Daniel said, pointing at her. You're the real shame. You get dressed like a queen but act like a desperate rat. You call me useless. However, of something you may by no means have. Peace, love, admire. A spouse who stands by using me. Luciana looked around and saw people staring. Her face became crimson with disgrace. Diana improved. Go and fix your damaged existence earlier than coming to talk about mine. You're now not even certified to talk to my shadow garbage. Luciana hissed and grew to become, to go away. However, Daniel delivered. Next time you come back right here to open that smelling mouth, I can fry you together with the buns. Luciana stormed off without some other word, her wig shaking with every irritated step. Daniel sat, go into reverse, took a deep breath, and whispered to himself, no person can scatter my home, not even the Satan in lipstick. 1 month handed like wind. Ruth and Daniel's small buns enterprise became shifting, slowly but steadily. They did not have plenty, but every day they made sales and managed to consume while the laughter changed into back of their home, the shame changed into gone. Human beings within the community even started out respecting those announcing things like this couple clearly love themselves and they're constructing their destiny with their personal palms. One shiny afternoon, Ruth, lower back from the marketplace with a wide smile on her face and a small black nylon complete of coins, Daniel, she referred to as, with joy, Daniel came out wiping his hands. You're smiling like someone who won a lottery, Ruth laughed. In truth I did. She opened the nylon and poured the money on the mattress I've been saving secretly, and now it is enough which will begin a small workshop on your carpentry paintings. Daniel became stunned. You did what I know it's your dream, Ruth stated. You left carpentry due to all the pressure and insults. However, you are correct. At it, you may buy a few equipment and hire a small space. I need you to move back and grow once more. Daniel stood there quiet, touched. He stared on the cash, then at Ruth. You stored all this for me? He asked softly. Sure, she nodded. It's your turn now. However, Daniel shook his head. No, Ruth, you have labored difficult. Use the money to grow your commercial enterprise, purchase extra flour, hire a kiosk, print your label, extend Ruth's buns. My time will come. However, Ruth became firm. No, Daniel, you've got helped me sufficient. Now it is my joy to help you. Daniel smiled with satisfaction. I married an extraordinary gem. Just then Daniel's telephone started to ring. He looked at the screen and frowned. "Who's it?" Ruth requested. Daniel sighed. "It is Mr. Benson." Ruth's face modified immediately. Daniel picked up slowly. "Howdy." Mr. Benson's voice came through. "Daniel, it's me. I know you may not need to listen my voice, however, please listen." Daniel didn't speak. "I want to express regret." Mr. Benson persevered. "I used to be incorrect for the entirety. I stated for your spouse. I disrespected her. I disrespected you. I don't have an excuse, but I am deeply sorry." Daniel nevertheless said, "Not anything. I've been considering everything." Mr. Benson went on, "Please come to my residence this weekend. Convey your spouse. I need to express regret face to face, and on Monday you can go back to work. Your profits has been multiplied. I need peace, Daniel, sooner or later." Spoke with all due respect, sir. How dare you try to win my girl behind my back? And now act like not anything took place. There was silence. "I deserve that, Mr. Benson." Answered. It changed into the Satan. "Daniel, I've been scuffling with many stuff, but I promise you what I did was no longer me. I lost manage. I simply need to make matters right." Daniel exhaled. "All right, sir. See you this weekend." He ended the decision the moment he grew to become round. Ruth changed into already looking at him, fingers crossed, her face tight with unhappiness. "I knew it," she stated coldly. "I knew that was your boss. And also you agreed." Daniel raised his fingers. "Ruth, please concentrate. You agreed. We're going to his house this weekend." Ruth asked angrily. "After the entirety he stated to me after he insulted me and referred to as me names." Daniel stepped closer. "I did not agree due to the fact I want to cease this count number nicely head to head." Ruth shook her head. "I am disappointed in you. Understand what he did? You heard what he said. Now he weighs cash and promoting and you forget all the pain." Daniel touched her arm lightly. "No, Ruth, I failed to neglect. I simply agree with in second possibilities." He sounded certainly sorry. Ruth pulled her arm away. "What if it is a lure? What if it is installation? What if we pass there and he does something horrible, or maybe attempts to unalive us each?" Daniel sighed deeply. "No, Ruth. Mr. Benson can't hurt a fly. He is no longer like that." Ruth's eyes narrowed. "How come you unexpectedly realize so much?" "Approximately him." Daniel looked at the ground. "It is not like that. I have heard human beings talking. They say he's harsh, but he's no longer violent. They are saying he's suffering with non-public problems. He was as soon as married. But his spouse left him due to his mouth, he says. Things he would not suggest. He pushes humans away." Ruth folded her hands once more. "And you consider that?" Daniel nodded slowly. "I want to consider people can change. If he genuinely desires to apologize, permits hear him out. If he shows one sign of nonsense, we stroll out." There has been silence among them. Ruth, sooner or later, sat down, rubbing her brow. "I don't agree with that man." "I understand," Daniel stated. "And in case you say no, we might not cross." She looked at him for a protracted moment, then sighed. "Nice. However, I'm going there with one eye open and one eye closed." Daniel smiled. "That's my queen, however. If he tries something humorous," Ruth introduced, "I will slap the demon out of him in front of his safety." They both laughed, but internal, their hearts have been heavy with mixed feelings. The weekend arrived faster than Ruth anticipated. She dressed slowly that morning, her heart still full of combined emotions. Daniel had promised that the whole lot could cross nicely, however. Part of her couldn't shake the fear. She hadn't forgotten what part of her couldn't shake the fear. She hadn't forgotten what Mr. Benson had said and done. Daniel wore his exceptional blouse and jeans. He stood through the door looking her. "Get prepared, you appearance." "Lovely," he said softly. "Thank you," Ruth answered without smiling. They entered a small cab and made their way through the town. As they reached Mr. Benson's neighborhood, Ruth's eyes started to widen. The streets had been smooth-lined with plants and shiny avenue lighting. Each residence they exceeded appeared like something from a mag, while the cab grew to become stopped in front of a tall black gate. Ruth gasped, "This is it?" Daniel nodded. The gate opened slowly, revealing a big white mansion with glass doorways, brilliant automobiles parked outdoor, a swimming pool and green grass anywhere Ruth stepped out, her mouth barely open. Daniel, this residence is sort of a palace. I cannot wait to be able to have something like this one day." Daniel smiled. "I already do." Ruth looked at him. "What do you mean?" Daniel chuckled. "Nothing, simply joking." They walked in hand, and had been welcomed by way of two uniformed staff who led them into the residing room. The vicinity changed into shining from top to bottom, marble flooring, costly fixtures, artwork on the wall, and a sweet odor inside the air. Then Mr. Benson walked in, dressed in easy native apparel, looking calm and humble. Not anything like the proud guy Ruth had met weeks ago. He walked immediately to her and Daniel and greeted them quietly. "Ruth, Daniel," he started. "First I need to say I'm deeply sorry for the whole thing I said and did. I disrespected your marriage, I insulted you, I let satisfaction lead me. I was incorrect." Ruth did not speak in the beginning. She simply looked at him. Mr. Benson persisted. "I've had time to think, and my son Daniel, he instructed me so much about you. He said, 'You're the cause.'" He stood, returned on his FT. He stated, "You are sturdy, unswerving, and full of fire, and now that I see it with my eyes I accept as true with him." Ruth blinked. "Wait, your son? What do you mean?" "Your son." Mr. Benson and Daniel both went silent. Ruth grew to become, to Daniel, "What is going on?" Daniel took her hand gently. "Ruth, please, don't be indignant. I desired to inform you earlier than... However, I did not recognize how Mr. Benson, he's my father." Ruth pulled her hand away, her eyes wide. "What, your father? How? Why?" "Did not you inform me?" Daniel sighed. "It's an extended story. Years ago I used to be in an awful area. I had depended on those who used me and left me empty. I misplaced everything. My father, Mr. Benson, noticed how damaged I was. He counseled me to head some distance far from the town to a village and discover a person, real, someone who would like me for me." Mr. Benson nodded slowly. "I instructed him, go and find a lady who sees your heart, not your pocket. He failed to like the concept at first, however. He obeyed me, and he found you, Ruth." Sat down slowly, beaten. Daniel knelt beside her. "I didn't plan to marry you out of pity. I fell in love with you." "Ruth, I really like you deeply. That day at your father's residence when he gave you to me like a gift. I saw pain in your eyes, but I also noticed strength. And each day since then you've made me a higher guy." Ruth looked at him with tears forming in her eyes. Mr. Benson stepped closer and, "Now I need to jot down every other wrong. That wedding ceremony in the village, it was rushed, small, no honor. In 2 weeks we are doing it once more. A right church wedding, one that fits the Queen. You are Ruth." Wiped her eyes, however didn't say a word. Daniel persevered. "I desired to wonder you. However, I see now I must have informed you everything from the beginning. I'm sorry, I simply failed to want to lose the peace we've got built." Mr. Benson added softly, "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but please, for my son's sake and for the destiny we're all about to construct collectively, let's move forward." The room changed into quiet. The simplest sound became the mild hum of the air conditioner. Then Ruth stood up, looked at each of them and sighed deeply. "I was indignant," she said, "harm, and taken aback, but now I apprehend." She looked at Daniel. "You ought to have instructed me the fact." Daniel bowed his head. "I recognize." She touched his cheek. "Gently, however, I forgive you." Daniel's eyes brightened right away. She turned to Mr. Benson. "And you are fortunate I am a girl of peace. Don't ever permit pleasure turn you into a monster again." Mr. Benson smiled gratefully. "I promise." Ruth looked around the house once more. "This place is beautiful, but it is no longer the mansion that makes me glad, it is the people internal." Daniel stood up and hugged her tightly. Mr. Benson watched with a grin on his face. 1 week after Ruth and Danielle's grand wedding ceremony, news unfolded like wildfire, even attaining the ears of Ruth's father. Within the village, bowled over and ashamed, he called her for the primary time in months. "My daughter," he stated in a shaky voice, "please forgive me. I sold you like a goat. I used to be blind." Ruth took a deep breath. "Papa, I forgave you long in the past, however I can't forget. I've moved on. I want you properly, but I'm able to never go back to that life." He became silent then. The decision ended. From that day, Ruth in no way seemed low back. She and Daniel built a new life, complete of love, laughter, and peace. Facet by means of aspect, they ran their groups, walked through storms, and danced in their victories. And together they lived fortuitously ever after. Expensive viewers, what instructions did you put off from this dramatic tale? We would love to pay attention. Your thoughts inside the comments below. In case you loved the story, deliver us a thumbs up, proportionate with buddies, and hit that subscribe button. Recall to turn on notifications so you in no way pass over on our today's updates.